We've told you about persecution against Chinese Christians, but did you know other Chinese people are also suffering, perhaps to a greater extent? Many of us have probably never heard of the Uyghur people. They're an ethnic minority living in western China in a region known as East Turkestan. Here to fill us in with more is Salih Hudayar. He's International and Political Affairs Director for a group called the East Turkestan National Awakening Movement. So, Salih, thanks for joining us today. The Wall Street Journal, others are reporting that Uyghur people are being rounded up in China by the tens of thousands. They're being sent to re-education internment camps. So fill us in. Why is China doing this to the Uyghur people, and why now?
Thank you for having me, Gary. First of all, the oppression of the Uyghur people by the Chinese government is something that has been ongoing since China occupied East Turkestan in December of 1949. The reason that that they're targeting and specifically putting Uyghurs into so-called re-education camps in the millions, in fact, according to the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, their report from August 10th stated that at least 1 million Uyghurs are in so-called counter-extremism centers, with a further 2 million in re-education camps for political and cultural indoctrination. China right now is trying to eradicate the essence of Uyghur identity and to eradicate the Uyghur people as well, because East Turkestan is part of China's strategic plan to achieve the global domination, in which China calls, the Chinese dream, or the One Belt and One Road system, to enhance China to become the world's leading economy, the world's most powerful military, and the most powerful political influence on the face of the earth. So the Uyghurs have been very resistant to this, and that's why China feels like this is the final solution. It's not just the Muslims that are being targeted in East Turkestan. It's all any and all religious groups, whether they be Buddhist, whether they be Muslim, whether they be Christian. As long as you are Uyghur or Turkic, you are a threat to the Chinese state. So you have to be sent to, quote unquote, re-education.
I guess they fear terrorism, do they not?
That's just an excuse. I mean, there hasn't been any actual terrorist activities in the region. In fact, it's demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations, that get shut down by the Chinese government and brutally suppressed. And then China responds and says, this was a terrorist attack, and plays it off like a terrorist attack to the international community. And because there is no free press and no way of verifying the incidents, majority of the people are given the Chinese government's narrative of the story.
What can we do?
Well, the first thing is to spread awareness about what's going on in East Turkestan, not just to the Uyghur Muslims, but also to our Christians and other religious populations. We need to get strong coalitions between all religious faiths and stand up for religious freedom in East Turkestan, in China, and across the world. Second is to pressure, write to our members of Congress, call them, write to them, and pressure them to uphold religious freedom, pressure them to label, what's happening in East Turkestan as a genocide. And we would like the U.S. President, President Trump, to sign the Weasel Genocide Prevention Act and make it an official U.S. policy to oppose genocide, whether it happens in Africa or whether it happens in East Turkestan or any other part of the world.
Salih Hudayar of the East Turkestan National Awakening Movement, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Parents, the Superbook